Hello, welcome to the next session of Python programming. In today's session, we are going to learn about the functions in Python. Now, functions, also called as methods in Python. What is functions? Functions is a block of code. Okay, that block of code is either predefined built-in code or user created. So, this function contains some instructions which are executed after we call that function, only after we call that function. So basically it's a block of code, set of instructions which are part of your main program, but those instructions will be executed only when you call that function. So in Python programming there are basically three types of function. First is the built-in function. Built-in function. I have mentioned several times about the built-in function that these functions are predefined in the Python module. Okay, when you open the Python application, there is a Python library in which many of the Python functions are already created. You are just calling those functions because you need those functions and their code repeatedly, right? So the up till now the built-in functions which you have seen already, the examples of that are print function. You remember print function? If you want to display the output, if you want to print anything, you are calling the print function. Now function can be called as like this: print your function name and the bracket. These brackets could be empty or you can add some parameter in that. So print is basically a built-in function in the Python. Whenever you are going to display something, display output, then you just call this print function. Inside that you include any text or any data you want to print in the output window. Then you call this function. The second built-in function is integer. If you remember integer function, whenever you are taking the input from user, that input is taken, or by default that input is taken as a string, but if you need the number, that is integer value, then you must use this integer function to convert that value into integer. And next is input function. This one is also very familiar and very frequently used because you need to take the input value from the user. We have seen all these three functions already in our last sessions, and there are several functions which are built in Python, which we are going to see one by one when the program comes. But basically we have seen this main built-in functions. So this built-in function means that these are already exist in your Python library. You are just calling them. You are not creating them. You are calling them. That's why it is called as a built-in or predefined function, because those are already defined in your Python library. Is the user-defined function. User-defined. Now the meaning is hidden in this name only. User defined means user are defining this functions. User is creating any type of function and then we are calling them. So user defined means when user defines the block of code, okay, and the function inside the program, and the user itself needs to call it, then we go for the user defined function. And this user defined function we are going to see in this session. Third one is functions within modules. Functions within modules. Now these are same like your built-in function because these are already exist, but you cannot call this function directly. First you need to call the modules. You need to import the modules in your Python program and then only you can call this function. For example, just take the math module. Math is one of the Python module. Whenever you want to perform any mathematical functions directly without using any kind of formula, you are just calling this math functions and then getting the result in the program. Then math is the module. Math is not the function, math is the module. So first you need to import the math module in your Python program. Once you import it, there are several built-in functions in the math module that you can use and call directly in the program. For example, sine or square root, sqrt. So these are the built-in methods in the math module in Python. So you can just call the sqrt function, and if you give any value inside this, then you can get the square root of that value directly. So whenever you want to perform this mathematical functions, these functions are included in the math module. So these are called as the functions within modules. These are little bit different in the different than the built-in function, but act like same once you import the necessary module in Python. When example comes, or when we encounter such type of scenario, then we can learn more about this math and many other modules in the Python. So in this session we are going to see the user defined module. Now user defined function. User defined, I as a user need to define this function in Python. So in the main program, whichever we have seen till now, in the main program first I need to define that function, then only I will be able to call that function. So both procedure has certain syntax, and you don't want to mess up with the syntax, otherwise you will get an error just like any other instructions in the Python. So what is the syntax for user defined functions? Basically there are two process. First you need to define, create the block of code, and then you just call it, right? So how to define it? First, defining the function. How to define the function? There is a keyword called def, which stands for the definition. So first you need to create the function definition. You need to write down as same in small letters, lowercase letter def stands for the definition of the function. Def, then your function name. Function name. Now this function name is same like your variable name. Okay, the rules which are applicable for the variable, same rules are applicable for the function name, since those are the user defined. First rule is the function name should not be a keyword. Okay, it should be an identifier. Keyword means those words which are already exist in the Python library or in the Python functions. Those have special meaning with them. Okay, whenever we want to perform any kind of action or instruction, then we are using those words such as integer, if, else, for, right? So all these operator names, all these are keywords. You cannot use keywords as a function name here, just like your variable. This will be your identifier, not the keyword. So make sure that whatever function name you are using, that is not the keyword. Okay, then definition, function name, and bracket. Okay, here either you can go for the empty bracket, it's okay. Okay, if you are not passing any argument, but most of the times when we need to pass the parameter or any kind of value, then here we are going to see the, or we are going to write the parameter. Now parameter are the values, okay, which we are going to use inside the function as well as outside the function to pass the values. So these are optional, these are based on your requirement. These are parameters value. Parameters could be one, more than two. Multiple parameters would be there depending what you want to use as a data. So definition, function name, inside bracket, parameters, these are optional, and the most important part, end your statement with colon. That means this colon, whenever you end any statement with colon, that means you are creating the indentation block. Remember the if else loop, for loop, right? Whenever you are ending the statement with colon, then you must create the indentation block, because here we are creating the functional block. This is the syntax. So you know the rule for colon. After pressing enter, by default we will go, or we will start our next instruction after one tab space, because this is one block. So here your statements, whichever statements you are going to write down, which are you are going to execute, these are the statements, right? So definition, your function name, parameter, then colon, after that in the next statement. Here one keyword is there which is return. This is also optional, return keyword, to return back to the main program with certain output. So this is also optional. I will tell you the significance of the return letter. So this is the keyword that you can use whenever you achieve something, achieve any result, then you are going to return that value in the main program. This is basically the definition of any user-defined function. Now after defining the function, the second process is the calling. You need to call the function. Calling function, or we can write down like function call. Function call. Now how to call the function? It's very simple. You are just calling the function by its name only, with certain parameters if they are required, and the function will be called. So here the syntax of function calling, it's just calling of a function without any indentation mark. So here function name, your function name, okay, here function name, and inside either if those brackets are empty, keep it empty, otherwise you can include some parameter or argument value in after the function name. So this is how we call any function in the program. So basically whichever function we have introduced, means we have written here, the same function we are calling in the next line of program. The second rule is, whichever name you are giving to the function, that name should be exactly appear or written by while calling the function. Okay, exactly the name. If you are leaving the if you are using the underscore here, underscore should be here. You cannot leave one space between two words in the function, just like your variable declaration, where you cannot use the space, okay, before, after, or in the middle of words. Just like that, here also you cannot use the space between two words. Join those words, combine those words, and make a one word for the name of the function. Another thing is, consider the case. If you are using the lowercase, total lowercase, then your function name should be same. Whichever case you are using for certain letters or word, that should be copied or that should be followed same while calling the function. Otherwise your interpreter of Python won't able to find the appropriate function name for your execution. So this is basically the syntax of the function. Now let's see the example of function and the control flow of statements. Example. Now let's take the example of suppose multiplication of two numbers. Okay, we are going to write down one Python program to multiply two numbers, and we are creating the function for that, right? So here we are taking the both value, we need two values, we are taking both values from the user and we are creating one function called multiply. Okay, so what is the syntax or how can you write that program? Your definition keyword def. Okay, this is for defining your function. Now just give the name of your function name. That should not be the keyword. Now I am giving the multiply. Multiply is my function name, right? And see carefully, the M is in uppercase and the rest of the letters are in lowercase. Bracket complete, colon. Here I am not passing any parameter or argument value, I am using inside the function only. After this I am opening one indentation block, and in this first I am going to take one number. Suppose x is equal to 3. Now let's take the number in the program itself. Next time we will take the number from the user. So x is equal to 3 and second number y is equal to 10. Okay, and then your result, third variable result is your multiplication, x multiply by y, x multiply by y. So whatever result or output will be, that result will be stored in the result variable, and just print the value. Result is the statement will be as it is, and in which variable you are storing the result, that variable name. Okay, so this is basically your definition for function called multiply. Now your function is ready, you have already defined your function, but what next? Your function won't be executed till you call that function explicitly in the main program. Here this block of code will be called only after you will call the multiply function. Otherwise there is no use of writing all these instructions. So how to call it? Just use the function name multiply, and in the main you can see I am writing the function calling part from the first position of the line because I am out of the indentation block right now. So multiply and then empty bracket, just like that. And be careful with the name, it should be same, the spelling should be same, the case should be same, otherwise you will get an error. So this is how the function would be defined and called. So multiply function will be called, and then we will go inside the function definition and we will execute. So result is, now your output is result is, this will be printed as it is, and the result value x multiplied by y, x is 3, y is 10, so 3 multiplied by 10, 30, result is 30, this will be your output. So this is the example, simplest example of the function definition and calling user defined function. Now here, understand the control flow of the program, how your control is flowing throughout the program, right? Called as a flow of execution. See, for writing, while writing, your flow is from up to down, right? So first you are defining the function, then statements inside the function, then calling the function, it's okay. But while the execution part, while you are doing the execution part, the flow of execution would be different. Here, your pointer won't go here. First, your pointer encounter this statement but won't go inside. Your pointer will go directly here. This is the statement of the main program, main Python program, multiply. Okay, you are not directly going inside the function. First you are going for the main program, whichever statement it would be. Here first statement is multiply, that means you are calling the function. So when you call the function, then your pointer goes to here, right? After calling this, then your flow of execution will be like this. You are going inside the code, then you are taking the values, you are calculating the result, then you are printing the result, and then you are out. So this is your flow of execution of the program, specifically when you are using the function part. Okay, so this is the basic example of the function. Now we will focus on the parameter value, because without the parameters and argument, your function programs or concept will be incomplete, right? So let's take the parameter type. Let's consider the part of parameter. In the last example, we have used the function name and empty bracket, that means no parameter. But we will see what is the parameter actually. So whenever you are using the function, you will get to know two terms, which are parameter and argument. Parameter and argument. Parameter or argument are the names or values which you are defining or which you are setting inside the function brackets. So whenever you need to pass the value, you can use those parameters. So what are the parameter and argument different, stated differently? That whenever you are defining the function, the values you are using, the names you are using are called as a parameter while defining the function. And while calling the function, whichever values you are using or passing, those are called as a argument value. So basically you are passing the argument to the parameter while calling the function. Okay. Now let's take one simple example to differentiate between this. We'll take the simple program, just addition, suppose. So definition, keyword, your function name, add. Okay, add is your function name. Now here I am using the parameters, right? For addition you need two input values, right? Two values. So here I am taking A, B. So these are your parameters. Okay, and you are telling that these are the values you are using in the add A, comma B. These are the parameter values. Inside that you are just calling or executing the addition operation between this. Here I am using the formula inside the print function only. So I am just printing addition is A plus B. I am performing the addition here. Okay, so this is my function, definition of my function. Now in the main program, what I am doing, in the main program I am taking two different variables for the values. X is equal to suppose 10 in the main program, y is equal to 20. Okay, so this value I have taken. Then I am calling the add function to add these two values. So how to call the function? Your function name add, and just pass the values, because you are having two values here and you are passing these two values to the add function. So here x and y you are passing. So this is your calling the function, right? So what is happening here, these are called as arguments, these are called as a parameter. Okay, when you are using two names or two values while defining the function, those are called as a parameters. And when you are using the names or values while calling, those are called as a argument. Here you are calling the function, here you are defining the function, right? Now how the flow of execution of this program will be, as I said, here you are not going inside the function because this is not a main program. First your pointer will be here, x. You are declaring one variable called x. You are assigning the value 10 to x. Then you are taking the another number which is y. You are assigning 20 to y. You have two values with you. Now you are calling the add function. It's a time of execution. While writing, you must write down the definition first, because it would be easy to map for understanding. You are calling the add function, and these x and y, this value will be passed to a and b. So first x was 10, so x value will be passed to a, so a will be 10, and y which is 20 will be passed to b, so b is 20. So you have a equal to 10, b equal to 20. You have two values here. Now go inside the function, and then your output will be addition is, and the addition of these two value 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. That will be your output, right? So just you need to uh, understand this process, understand the execution of flow. X, y, these are your argument value. You are passing those values to the parameter, right? And here position or sequence matters a lot. Okay, here that is one of the concept which I am going to explain next. Here you are using the sequence x comma y. So automatically, if we consider the sequence, x value will be allotted to a, y value will be allotted to b, right? When you are changing the sequence like y comma x, suppose, then y value which is 20 will be assigned to a, and x value which is 10 will be assigned to b. So the sequence matters here, right? So this is all about your parameter and argument, right? There are three types of parameter value, that how we can use and how we can pass the parameter value to the function definition or inside the program only. So this is the basic part. Now we are going to see the types of parameter. Now let's see the passing parameter concept. Passing parameter. That means how we are passing the arguments or any value to the parameters inside the function, right? First is the positional parameters, also called as a required. Positional parameters, also called as the required parameters. As the name suggests, positional parameters, that means those parameters or name have certain position. I have mentioned before the sequence, right? So that is the positional parameter. When you are setting some particular position, and then according to that sequence only your value will be passed. Then the default parameter. Default parameter, just like any variable could have the default value with it, right? So that value it will be taken if we are not giving the value to that name, then that default value will be act. This is the default value, means when you are not giving any other value inside the program, nor you are taking the value from the user explicitly, and then if you have mentioned the default value, the default will be taken for the execution. And the third one is the named parameters, also called as the keyword. Named parameters or keyword parameters. Here, while calling the function, we are giving the name or keyword to that specific parameter. So even if you are changing the position or sequence, it doesn't matter, because we are directly assigning the value to that name. You will get this significance once we take the example for each type. So first we are going to see the positional parameters or required argument. So positional parameters means when you are assigning the values to that particular definition or particular function while calling the function itself, right? So suppose here, let's take the example. Here I am defining one function, suppose calci, right? Calci is my function, and in this I am using three parameters x, y, z. Okay, so this is my function, defining the function, and I am using three values x, y, z. So this is the definition. Here some statements will be there for the definition part, and then while calling the function, when I am giving the value on that particular position, then how it looks: calci, my name of the function, and here a, b, c. Okay, I am calling the function, I am passing a, b, c to x, y, z. So here your a value will be assigned to x, your b value will be assigned to y, and c will be assigned to z. Okay, position, right? A to x, first is the a to x, second b to y, and c to z. So these are the positional parameters, also called as required, because if you are not giving any other value, you must explain or must write down this value according to the position. That's why it is called as a required arguments or required parameters. Now here you can pass the values directly also. It's okay. You can pass the value also. So here this is the first one. Suppose I am calling the function for the second time, calci, right? So I am giving the values like this, right? So here 2 will be assigned to x, b will be assigned to y, and 10 will be assigned to z. So here x is equal to 2, y is equal to b, and z is equal to 10. That means according to the position you have assigned the value, or you have passed these parameters to the name or to the variable. Suppose I am giving all three values while passing the argument calci 2, 4, 8. Here I am using three values. So depending on the position, your values will be assigned. X is equal to 2, Y is equal to 4 and Z is equal to 8. Again, if you change the sequence of this, then different value will be assigned to the variables, or you can call as a name depending on the position or sequence. So this is your positional parameters in this. The position of the name or values is important factor, and you are assigning the values according to the sequence. This is the positional parameter. Second one is the default parameter. When you are assigning the default value while defining the function itself to any parameter, then you can use the default parameter value. Now let's take the example of this. Now here I am taking the same function definition add or definition calci. I am using three values now here, a, b, c equal to 50. So this is my definition, okay, function definition. I am using three values a, b, c, where c equal to 50 is my default value. So by any chance, if I am not giving the value to c, the default value 50 will be taken. After opening this function, here are some statements to be executed. So while calling the function calci, I am using three argument. Okay, I am calling the three argument, or I am using the three functions here. Suppose 10 and 70. I am giving value directly. I am assigning the values directly. So if you see carefully, these are the three values, three parameters. But while calling the function, I am using two values only. I am passing the two values only. Why is that? Because third one has the default value 50. So even if I am not giving the value to third one, it will be taken 50. So here what is happening? What is happening here? A equal to 10, B equal to 70, and since we are not providing the third value, C is 50, default value will be taken, right? So that is how it works. That is how the default value concept works. Suppose here I am giving the third value inside the calling function 10, 70 and suppose 100. While calling the function, I am providing three values to three parameters. Okay, so here how it happens? A equal to 10, B equal to 70, and though we have given the default value, if we are providing the another new value while calling the function, this new value will be taken, not the default value. So C is equal to 100. In case if we don't provide the third value, then only the default value will be taken. If we are providing the value, this default value will be cancelled and new value will be taken, right? So this is the simple concept, default parameter, when you can assign the default value. Okay, now it has some rules that whenever you are defining or whenever you are assigning the default value in the function definition part, you must be careful that while assigning the default value, you should go from right to left. You cannot give the default value to the first element first, or second element first, and third you are not giving the third default value to third parameter. You can't do that, right? This is the incorrect statement. Why? Because the positional parameter, right? Whenever you are using the values here, according to the position, your value will be assigned, right? So here suppose I am changing this statement and I am giving the default value to A as 50 and then B, C, I am not assigning the default value, right? So what happens here, I am using this two values for calling. Here while defining, I am assigning A equal to 50 as a default value and I am not giving B and C a default value. What happens at the calling? Here position matters, sequence matters. Though you have assigned the default value to the first parameter A equal to 50, here the first value will be assigned to A. That means 50 will be replaced by 10 and then B value will be 70 and then there will be no value for C here, because according to the syntax or according to your convenience you have provided the default value here only for only one parameter, so you require the values for two parameters. Here you have provided the two parameters but the sequence is not proper, right? Because here though you have provided the default value, 10 will be assigned to A, 70 will be to B, and for C we don't have any other value. That's why we are assigning the default value from the end, from the right side, right parameter, right? So here this statement is illegal, okay? So as this statement, B is equal to 80 and C, no, you can't do that, right? A equal to 50, B equal to 80 and C equal to nothing. You can't provide the two default value for the leftmost parameter and you are leaving C as it is, no. Again this will happen even though A equal to 50, 10 will be assigned to A. Even B equal to 80, 70 will be assigned to B and there will be no value to C, right? So that's why you must provide the default value from the right side. Now here this statement is correct. Suppose I am using C equal to 20. Now this is correct because all three has the default values. So here what happens? A equal to 50, by calling the function we have provided the three value. Even though A equal to 50, we are giving 10 at the time of calling. So A 50 will be replaced by 10, A equal to 10. B equal to 80, but we are providing the second value to parameter. So 80 will be replaced by 70. Here we have not provided the third value, but since your third value is 20 assigned to C, it's okay. That means you have all three values, A equal to 10, B equal to 70 and C equal to 20. We are considering the default value because we have not provided here any, right? So these are some rules you need to consider while giving the default value while calling the function. This is one of the rule that you need to remember, okay? The third argument or parameter called keyword argument or named argument. We are explaining this as an argument because these are used while calling the function, not while defining the function. Default parameters are assigned in the definition of the function. Keyword arguments are used in the calling the function, right? So here we will take some examples. Suppose definition test and we are taking three parameters here. So definition test, your function name, and A, B, C are the three parameters of the function. Here the statements are to be executed. Now keyword argument are used while calling the function. So for calling the function test, here what we are doing, we are giving the name to the values. Okay, we can do this with the positional and default argument also. It doesn't matter, but the sequence matters in the positional and the default. But here, since we are telling the name itself, we can change the sequence also. So here I am assigning the values like this: a is equal to 10, b is equal to 30, and c is equal to 60. So what is the difference here? What I am doing here, a equal to 10, I am using the name. I am not considering the position. I am using the name here. So a equal to 10, that means a variable is assigned to 10. The same variable we are taking here. Same variable name or same name. B equal to 30 and C equal to 60. This value will be passed as the argument. Now we can change the sequence also here. Test, suppose I can write down B equal to 50, A equal to 100, C equal to 150, and that is also okay. Here we have changed the sequence, but here sequence or position doesn't matter because we are mentioning the name directly, so the interpreter won't be confused. So B equal to 50, so B equal 50 will be assigned to B, 100 will be assigned to A, and 150 will be assigned to C. So you can change the sequence of any. But remember, when you are mixing the types of parameters, suppose if you are going with the positional parameter and named parameter, then you must consider the sequence as well as name of that particular names or variable. Okay. So in this session, we have seen the functions in Python, how we can define, how we can call the function, user-defined function in the Python. Then difference between argument and parameters, and three types of passing the parameters, right? In the next session, we will take one simple example for functions where we are going to revise all of this again, right, with the new concept, and we can introduce the new concept related to your function part. So for this session, you can just prepare these three types first, and then in the next session we'll study the rules for assigning the value or passing the parameter in detail. So for now, just revision this. Thank you.